good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends on the Earthship. Welcome. I'm Cindy Carter, an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. This series of Alchemy podcasts that I put out each Sunday are about sovereign understandings of life and how you can become in control of your life instead of being controlled. You can become the alchemist of your life, which is basically remembering who you are as divinity. So last podcast, I talked about standing up. It was a very simple title, but it had a lot going on in it. It was talking about standing up to yourself, standing up finally for yourself. Not for yourself, but to yourself. Standing up to all the understandings that you have. It's, having a new understanding of yourself and being your own best friend, being your own guardian, being your own compassionate alchemist, really. It's to stand up to your own life, stand up to your thoughts and to your beliefs, stand up to your emotions. This is what it means to take control of the out-of-control mind or the out-of-control emotional field. When you allow yourself to come to the conclusion, finally, that you are worth that you are worthy of standing up and guiding yourself through this lifespan, through this timeline, through this trip around the sun. You're worth all the rays of golden light from the sun. And you are worth the idea of life. So let's stand up to the life that you have. That was the understanding we had last podcast. So this podcast, I'd like to build on the last, of course. That's how this all works. You could start at the beginning of all my podcasts and build onto them. They might disappear one day. So you might want to go back through. They might be building for a reason. So this podcast today is about clean up on aisle 3. I could do that with a big megaphone or over a microphone. Clean up on aisle 3. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a spiritual podcast, but it is. We are in clean up on aisle 3. I see it everywhere. Of course, you might immediately go to an image in your mind, like I'm actually creating one for you, of a grocery store with an aisle, an aisle, an aisle, an aisle, all the aisles. And you find that there's a big spill on aisle 3. It might be glass jars that are all broken and all their contents are spilled out everywhere, making a huge mess. It might be beverages that have leaked and dripped everywhere. It might be beer cans that exploded everywhere. Might even be a kombucha bottle, and all that stuff went everywhere. What if each of those things that you see that have spilled were spilled emotions? Yuck. That's what I'm seeing. Emotional cleanup on aisle 3. It seems right now that the whole world is one big bowl of feelings. My daughter likes to say, I'm in my feels, when she isn't feeling really happy. So she says, I'm in my feels. I feel like the whole world right now is in their feels. Like how much angst, ridicule, judgment, anger, sadness, disempowerment, entitlement can one world take at one time? How much of a spill can we take? How much can we witness? How much can we watch? How much can we perceive? How much can we define what we're even looking at? If the world is the grocery store, I feel we have a cleanup on almost all the aisles at once. You'll see it. There's no place that's exempt from the feels right now, except a few places. There's a fifth dimensional earth within the grocery store that you may not even have found yet, where there are fifth dimensional high vibrational energies and cosmic information, but you haven't found it because you're kind of like stuck with the mop. cleaning up the aisle because you got stuck there, because you perceived that it was something that it isn't. There's could be like every aisle is just full of the feels. But here's how we navigate all the aisles of all the emotions, of all the crashes, the angst, the strewed shards of glass in the pickle aisle, the slippery eggs in the dairy aisle. We have to navigate. Navigation is your galactic past coming forward so you can investigate and relearn and remember how you did it and how you've done it before. You got to learn to navigate, adventurous new places. That's what the earth is. And they're full of the feels, full of the emotions. How many of them are you adding to it? To the Archon stream of emotion. There's a consciousness stream based in Christ consciousness, that's based in the sacred sciences and based in the golden light, based in the God presence of you. That's one type of navigation, navigating those fields, but then there's others that are navigating the field of emotions. I will say that I'm pretty, done with, emotions out of me. I still get emotional. I'm not void of emotion. I just haven't chosen to allow emotion to take over my body or my mind. And I've actually decided that most emotions are, not worth my time. I cleaned them up. Cleaned up on aisle 3. Emotion is on aisle 3. Let's get a crew over here, stat, and that's the crew of all of you. Bring all of yourself to clean up this aisle. Say it's your aisle. You don't have to clean up other people's emotions, that's for sure. You can be in service to help other people. They have to be willing to help themselves. But you have to learn to navigate around all this. Do without it. Be inconvenienced by it. You're in the aisle, and that aisle got shut down. You can't go to that place because the emotions are everywhere. Well, maybe you need to not go there. Maybe you need to be inconvenienced. But you are the alchemist. You're the one that gets to put importance to a thing or not. Or any level of importance, really. It could be just a little bit important where other people think it's huge. It could be hugely important to you when other people think it's small. It's about your perception base and building a perception base. We're trying to build a perception base in compassion and awareness of sacred nature, allowing ourselves to glide through this store, not being taken down any aisle that affects me or affects my emotional field or abuses me. I'm not going down those aisles. That's compassion for me. I'm going to walk through this door and go to the places I want to go. That's the right I hold. That's the sovereign right I hold. This is really a key concept in changing your life for the better, to not let things affect you, for allowing you to become a free human, sovereign of others' ideas and others' beliefs and others' concepts. You are rightfully allowed to become the freedom that you feel inside of you, even how small or whatever percentage it is of freedom that you feel. It is your right. No matter if aisle after aisle you see are detours or wet floor signs or, pickle carnage. I just had a visual of that. Sorry. It's a battle of the fields, It's the battle of the feelings of others, really, of the emotional minefield. Or you could, look at it as an emotional marshmallow field. It's really all about your perception of it, changing your perception so that what's happening outside of you is not affecting what is happening inside of you. Change the perception. That's your choice. That's your action. You're not waiting on something else to happen. You're actually doing it. being it. Don't ever let anyone tell you there's no doing on this earth. There certainly is. The doing of changing your perception can change everything for you. By not letting it affect your emotions or your mental mind. Remember, you have 7 bodies within your auric field, and anytime you have a disturbance that, is created through your perception of what is happening outside of you, this is what creates the trauma. The downward vibration or frequency that affects the entire mind, body, soul system is your perception on the spill on aisle 3. Your perception of the spill of emotions from your spouse, your child, your friend, your colleague, your passerby on the street. Are you affected by everything everyone says? Come on. Everyone is showing their emotions on their sleeves or in aisle 3. They're all letting their feels fly. So how will you receive the feels? I hope as a compassionate observer. Like how this person, you could be looking at this person who's throwing out their feels, they've just thrown all these pickles down on aisle 3. It's all these emotions are spilled out everywhere, but you could look at this person and say, wow, this person's really upset. They look like they really could have, a really bad day. They're being a bit delusional, and these emotions look pretty extreme, but they sure do have a beautiful soul inside. Sure is trying to align, isn't it? And they may be about to spill or already spilt on aisle 3. But compassionately, I stand and witness until a point, or help them, assist them clean up what they did, and until it becomes abusive, or until it becomes a distraction away from my own alignment with my own compassion. Then I will simply walk away. No referencing, no pigeonholing, no defining it, no describing it. No defined voice for it all. I'm not going to wrap up a meaning for the event. There are a lot of people right now who are wrapping up meaning around things that are affecting people's lives dramatically. Psychic readings have gone awry. I wish people would actually stop reading people's frontal lobes. You can help people through their awarenesses of themselves without dragging out some story from some timeline that only blows up more cellular abuse. We're trying to get through the aisles, clean up the aisles and be done with them. And the psychic readings and the past life readings are kind of muddying the aisles. There's a lot more carnage on the aisles than we really need. We don't need to wrap meaning around things or give people a meaning for things. It is what it is. And if I choose not to allow myself, to stand up to myself and not make it something, not make it anything, really, what if we made a negative altercation nothing? What if someone told you to go home and you just said, okay, well, whatever you think? What if someone told you you need to go home, they need to go home? Go. I welcome you to go. This is what it is, whatever someone is creating. But if you could choose nothing, if you could choose that, well, you already can, through the eyes of compassion, for the spill on aisle 3, and all the beings that have souls that have brightness, and, it's somewhere inside of them. Maybe it's not being shown today, maybe not to you. The compassionate server of light, though, can witness a being about to spill on aisle 3 and not project a meaning onto it. That is what a service to an angel is. If they're about to do something crazy, delusional, not seen on TV, emotional nightmare, not the pretty kind, not the, spill that's, a paper towel can get up, be ready for an easy cleanup. And an easy cleanup for you is to walk away. If they don't choose to help themselves, you can't help them. If it becomes abusive, you must walk. Now, there can be all kinds of cleanups on aisle 3, easy ones and dirty ones. So this is about you having compassion for the walk through the grocery store, through the walk through the world on the earth. It might be the dairy aisle. That would be really yucky. It might even be the frozen food section. My God, what if the power went out? That's pretty nasty stuff. What if that was what you had to clean up and every one of those popsicles was a different negative emotion? Well, what if you decided that those weren't your emotions? That might be a good place to start. That's you having compassion for the person that's spilling it or that's already spilled it with all their traumas and frequencies out of their bodies, and now it's everywhere and you can see it and smell it and hear it. What are you going to do? You could align with what you already understand of yourself deep inside, which is the peace. Align with what your heart wants, is to make it a no thing. Your future self has already seen it, already been there. It's not affected. That being, that portion of you, why would you allow it to affect you, the self? It's a no effect to your being. You're the compassionate witness of another. So now I'm going to talk about being the compassionate witness of yourself right now. And, some of you are being really harsh to yourself. That's a big cleanup on aisle 3. It's huge right now, and we're sending in more crews and more cleaning agents to assist you. The emotional fallout of your thoughts are pretty ugly. Some pretty nasty words going through your mind. Some pretty nasty phrases that you tell yourself every day. It's quite amazing to watch. It is of high service to the soul of your being to be in service to your soul. To bow to the light of your own being, to now take yourself by the hand and walk yourself through these emotions. Get yourself in order. Stand up and clean up your aisle. This is the aisle that you created. Oh, really, you might have created this whole nightmare on this whole aisle. And now no one can come down this aisle because you created this whole nightmare, for yourself, basically. But then, it affects other people, really. This is how life works. So now you're in a cleanup of your own emotion situation. You might be like several of my clients right now, having negative mental jousting with themselves. I see the, jousters when they talk. You might be allowing doubt to take over or emotions of failure or unworthiness. These self-induced spills on aisle 3, they're big, I'm telling you. They require bigger mops to work with yourself. Sometimes you do need help. That's why people like me are here. We can help, but we can only help so far. We can assist you to clean up your own aisle, but you have to make the decisions. This is your aisle. This is your world. You get to choose. Even though all of us get to come up and down that aisle, you get to choose what happens here. So what if you were the one that reached for the pickle jar? You might have been, feeling at the time really angry or sad or depressed. You just weren't present in your body. You weren't being mindful, and whoops, right out of your hand goes that big jar of pickles right on the floor. Crash. Exploding glass. The pickles are, more emotions that you now unearth. So this aisle is all yours. You created these emotions, you allowed these emotions, and you now have them spilling everywhere. Now there's a choice to be had right here. This is the alchemy point. This is the important point with the big pointy hand. This is the place. This is the one. This is what you got to pay attention to right when the emotions spill out. This is what you have to do but you got to come straight into alignment with the cleanup. You could start cleaning it up early. Don't go to blame. That would be an easy projection out of the situation of cleaning up anything. You wouldn't have to clean up anything, I guess, if you just didn't take ownership of it. You could say the shelf was too high. The lighting was wrong. Somebody looked at you different. Somebody had said hello to you. Whatever takes you out of responsibility of your feelings, of your own emotional outbursts. It's now a cleanup on aisle 3. Clean up your own emotions. You can ask for help, but you got to be willing to help yourself. That's kind of what I tell a lot of my clients. I'm not here to drag you through wellness. I'm here to stand by your side and help you make great decisions and help you see clearly. But you have to be willing to help yourself, be willing to execute under your fullest capability, that you'll take responsibility for your own feelings and for your own emotions. Then help is able to help you. Alchemy is created right then in like resonance. Like resonance is an amplifier to all energy. The universe will alter your reality when you put in different energy. So I've been using these crazy grocery store analogies of emotions in the aisles, in the spill, so you can see that you can shop in whatever aisle you choose, but you have to be the one to take charge of the outcome. If you walk down a volatile aisle with some volatile glass, fragile stuff, you better be willing to, clean up your own stuff, because you might get, some stuff spilled on you. You could make it a no thing. You could go home with pickle juice on you, and it mean nothing to you. You could go home with pickle juice on you, and it could mean everything to you and be so devastating that you tell everyone about it. It's about your responsibility with your perception. Your own emotional outbursts. Clean up on aisle 3. Taking charge, taking care of yourself, so you can thrive and assist many other people later on after you've learned to clean up your own aisle. It's emotional cleanup. It really is something that needs to be looked at right now after you've been brought to the brink of your being and you're standing there like an emotional wreck and you don't know what's happening. You begin by standing up for yourself and reaching for the big jar of pickles. And it can be heavy. Emotions can be really heavy. They can be heavier than all the surrounding items. It might require 2 hands to deal with this emotion, or more mindfulness. Or if you're at Costco, it might require a forklift. Whatever world you happen to be in, however you seem to see the same action of reaching for something bigger or reaching for something to clear the emotion, something out of reach that you now want to take care of, and here you are at a choice of giving it a meaning. To some people, the reach will be too daunting. For some, it'll be like an adventure. For some, they'll take pride in it, in the same reality. It's all viewed through different perceptions, by cleaning up your emotional field, by becoming aware of your emotions and taking responsibility for them in a kind way. This is our work here on earth. This is the compassionate work. To allow yourself the ability to reach new places, new emotions that perhaps you've been kept from, or kept right out of reach. There are new uplifting emotions that truly could be the answer to a bright and beautiful life. Now within your grasp, it is possible. Because we're not putting the importance of anything on these emotions, your perception of how something is. It creates the emotion within you based on your auric and cellular influences. So these consciousness markers, they need cleaning up. They just need to be washed with understanding and making the influence less or lesser and lesser each day through loving yourself, through this cleanup. If you're experiencing an emotional spill right now, in a spill of others, if you can help them, assist them without the toxic emotions affecting you, then help them. If you're sensitive to the toxins, then clean up your own aisle 3 first. You see, the emotional spillage in your aisle 3 is what affects how you view all spills in all places. It affects how you view the people that have the spills, that are allowing the emotions. When you clean up your own view, your own life choice, and change the perception and importance that you give a thing, this whole life will change for the better for you. We are experiencing a lot of fifth dimensional earth right now. Peace, love, joy, harmony, freedom. Yes, really, right now. That just isn't shown on the mainstream controlled media. Fifth dimensional realities are available right now in quantum fields all over the earth. Right here, right now. And many of us are living that earth right now. Remember, people used to talk about 2 earths? Well, they're here. One is pretty dense. The other is pretty light. The denser earth, the matrix earth, I like to call it, the societal reflection earth, is still here and always will be. Now you get to choose. How will you respond to any given situation? You can walk by the aisle of your own spilled emotions and do nothing. You can ignore the rejection, ignore the loneliness, ignore the anxiety for just so long, until the stench and mess becomes unbearable. So clean up on aisle 3. Clean up your own mess, your own masked emotions, your own hidden under it all messes. These emotional nightmares. And this clears the cellular and auric fields so that the cosmic awareness can be allowed in your body. It's a crucial time for Earth. We're being watched by other planets and star systems from near and far. We are the free will Universians that are activating our futures into Christ consciousness. And the ride requires us to clean up our own perceptions and stop wrapping meaning around things that others tell you to. Things that you hear on television that teaches you to hate and divide yourselves. Things that you believe because you're supposed to. Yikes. How about gathering the power within you? The power of free will choice aligned with a loving heart space. A forgiving heart space. This is the divine will that's being witnessed from afar. This fifth dimensional heart space is what is being witnessed, not the continual struggle. Will you activate your divine will today, and create the 5D earth right here? Because you can. As the alchemist, you can. Moment by moment, changing and altering the incoming energy. That is alchemy. Whether that energy comes from your mind or the television or a person in their fields, let us be the compassionate witness and change the futures one by one. And I'm not trying to talk like a life coach here. I'm really like talking like a quantum physicist and a genetic scientist and an ancient alchemist and a universal cosmology friend. This earth requires you to be the presence of the future, but do it right now while you clean up on aisle 3. Cleaning up your emotional field really rapidly could start with a really nice tool. Because some of you, I can hear you saying, well, how do I do that? Well, there's a lot of ways. You could work with me as a mentor one-on-one. I have that offering. Look on my website. Contact me by email. There's lots of different ways to get a hold of me. Calling me on the phone is not the best one. I'm usually on the phone. Email is the best way. But cleaning up your emotional field rapidly, I do have something called the Template of Grace. It's an 11-day journey of a genetic cycle of grace as an activation of 11 MP3s. You can find it on my website. It's just $33 US. I teach anyone how to change the energy around their bodies and their minds and their emotions so that you can harmonize your field and become the spiritually aligned being that you've always known you are. I'll be having in-person and online workshops. One of the in-person workshops I'll be having is teaching holographic healing. It's a modality of energy healing where we rewire the auric field around the body to bring it back into its own life force. It's really powerful work. It's based in the understanding of compassion and Kuan Yin. It's suitable for existing energy workers or really anyone that wants to assist themselves in bringing peace back to their body and mind. You can find out about that class called Holographic Healing on my website. I do wish you all compassionate responses as you witness all the spillage in all the aisles of this earth. May you be detoured in happiness, in transmutation of your thoughts as you clean up your own aisle 3. Many blessings.